Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, Select Board meeting. And we have, well, jumping to our agenda. First thing is we have a tax bill insert approval. You got to, I don't know if they can see a picture of it, but what this is, it's the new finance software Vader will produce a real estate bill that will look differently than those that have been set in the past. Kara has put together an excellent and very helpful tax bill insert to explain the changes and also provide some convenient ways to pay the bills. With the approval of the Select Board, that's us, the collector may include non-political municipal informational material with the property tax bills so long as such inserts do not cause an increase in the postage required for mailing the new tax bill. And get it at home, but it is a much nicer thing right there, so. Okay, so.
And that's printed front to back on a small piece of paper that will just be in your envelope. Joan did ask a good question a couple of moments ago whether or not there's a fee to use the Unibank to pay online, and there is a small service fee. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's nominal. We could certainly, when we post this on the website, we'll include the fee for that. But it's not a new fee. If you've paid online and used Unibank before, you know, there's no changes.
Okay, good. Good.
Sorry, it's the journalist in me.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's
It's a
absolutely
good
fine.
thing we have you as journalists to remind us of things we may forget, okay? So I'm going to move to approve the tax bill insert in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 60, Section 3AD.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and any further discussion? No. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Okay, now, next we have something called the Code Red Alert System, and introduction and enrollment. I didn't really get a big chance, but Heather, can you tell us anything about that?
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
So in the past, we have used a service called Blackboard Connect for our reverse 911 calls. So when we have an emergency or an alert that we want to send out, that's been the product that we've used for years and years. And that we've been getting a lot of complaints about over the past few years, and each time that we send out an alert, we actually have people that will discontinue. They'll ask not to remain enrolled, and so we hesitate to ever send an alert because we know that each time we do, we lose somebody else. So we've been investigating other services that might be more beneficial to the community. We still want to make sure that we have the ability to contact people as when there's an emergency or as necessary, but we don't want to do so in a way that's obtrusive and that causes people to say no thank you. So this is the service that we've chosen to move forward with. It's called Code Red. It's a product from OnSolve. It's used by a lot of cities and towns in Massachusetts, and it has a great deal more flexibility, not only for the town as we're looking to what information that we should be sharing, but also for the user, for the resident. They can sign up to get only emergency alerts, which is only going to be when there's an emergency. So maybe never. You may never hear from us. But you can also select road closures, and then you would hear whenever there's a road closure, whether there's if there's a weather situation or I can't think of activities specific for seniors. Town meeting, if you only want to hear about when civic activities are happening. So you're going to be able to choose from a list of potential notices and alerts to hear about, and don't choose ones that you don't want to hear about. And then we're going to be able to also, based upon your address, we will be able to only send alerts to people that are immediately impacted by certain scenarios as well. So the entire town won't be alerted if there's an issue that is only impacting Elm Street or the immediate Elm Street neighborhood. We know that's because we know it's coming. And the other kind of flexible option here is that the end users will be able to choose what device that they want to receive that messaging on and how they want to receive it. Do they want a phone call? Do they want a text message? Or do they want an email? Or do they want it on all of the devices? Or don't ever call me, please never call me, which would be me. Sign me up for that one. So we're really hoping that this allows the town to better communicate with residents, which is something that we're always falling short of, but in a way that is more, hopefully more user-friendly for both the end user and for the town. There's a great deal of marketing material that they have provided us. I do encourage you to take a look through it and get back to me with any feedback that you have about what you feel is appropriate. If I should send a postcard to every resident, if we should just have it online, if I should do an alert. And you're also going to be able to sign up using a QR code for those who are like super savvy, that love their QR codes. You're going to be able to text a message and they're going to directly route you to the sign up, or you can do it the old-fashioned way online, or you can pick up the phone and call Pam, and Pam will get you connected. No, actually, it'll probably be Alicia. Pam's the default. So yeah, I'm excited about the product, and I'm excited about being able to offer some meaningful updates and alerts to residents. And I do welcome your feedback about how you would like me to best reach out and let residents know that this is happening and how I can best contact them. So,
Thank you. Yeah, it sounds like a good system. So
I think it's going to be far better than what we've been dealing with. I mean, I've heard horror stories that you'll be getting a call and you'll pick up and the recorded message is over. It's just finishing by the time you pick up. And so the information is just not getting to people like we intended to. Anyways.
We'll look it over and we'll work it out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. So, I don't know if I want to move to authorize you to send it out to the residents, or do you want to know that ahead of time? Are you going to wait? Or should we make the motion now that if it's approved?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because we do want to get the information
Yeah.
out, but I would like your feedback about what you think is
Okay,
a
so I'm going to move to authorize the town administrator, Heather, to send the Code Red marketing materials to residents and business owners in Buckland as they pertain to the Code Red electronic alert system after some feedback from the select board, okay?
Great, perfect.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
All in favor, yes.
Aye, okay.
It's too bad it's too late for the two-town news.
Oh, but don't
no.
forget, I mean, we'll be doing an enrollment for 6 months.
Okay, all right.
So,
it's easy to get that into
we certainly won't get everybody in town enrolled in the
No, I
next
know.
couple of weeks. It'll take some time.
And this is only for the town of Buckland, right?
This is only for the town of Buckland.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. That's a good idea. That's why you're here. Okay. Next on is moving along. We have some appointments that have come up here. I think the first one is Jay Gafasco.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Gafaso, Parker.
Oh, okay. Very good. And could you tell us, or give us an update of what's going on at Cricket Field? And what, is it sewing? Is it sewing?
Sewing Solutions is my
You're
business.
talking about bald spots and grass.
Seeds.
Oh, okay. I just kind of figured it out myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
People often think that it's S-E-W because sewing.
No, I don't do that, so it's
I do
okay.
that either. But, sure, so I'll share a brief update. We have some photos just to tell the story a little bit, so I don't know if you want to turn and...
Tell me when to roll.
Sure, thank you. So, welcome. I have a classroom over at the mill, it's called the Permaculture Place. There's a sign out front. We have a nonprofit center there, and then Sewing Solutions offers all of our educational programs there at this center. So I've been teaching these programs for 20 years. They're all about how to design your home landscape and design our community landscapes so that they're resilient and sustainable, and how can we respond to our changing climate with support and not panic. So there's an entrance to our classroom. We can just skip through a bunch of photos here. There's us, and we host people from all around the Northeast, pretty much monthly, from April through November. And the next one, people come from all around, people from even way upstate, way far north of New York, Maine, Connecticut, the whole Northeast. So we have a little gift shop with resources that people can gather. Yeah, and we teach folks outdoors about assessment of landscapes, but also about community building through this time of transition with our climate, and what can we do about it. So we'll keep going through these, and we teach about landscape design. That's really the focus, and we always choose a resident or a site in town to receive a free design service. They just have to be within walking distance of our classroom. So we've probably designed now for like 14 or 15 different village residents, and there's a couple more lined up to start in July. So that's really fun to be able to offer that to people. So what we did for the last, go to the next slide, thanks Heather, is last year and the year before that, we asked the town to be our practice clients, because the students learn how to design their landscapes by having a client to practice with. So we were very lucky because some folks here at the town were willing to meet with us for an hour and then an hour at the end of the program. And we can go to the next slide. And we had looked at Cricket Park in that pavilion during COVID when I was searching for a classroom outdoors, and we rented the rec center, and there were times when the rec center was booked. So we were looking at that space going, wow, wouldn't it be nice if this were fixed up? And what we had done was offer free design for the town. Heather was one of our clients the first year, and then we can zoom forward to the next images. These are like an example of some students. And then the next, people are ages of like 17 to 80. So it's pretty awesome. And we'll keep cruising to the next. And we had, Cindy was there and Kara was there this last time. So we spent 2 years designing as a practice for Cricket Park. And then last year, Heather, it was summertime last year, and you had applied for the Woodlands Grant, Woodlands Partnership Grant Implementation, Woodlands Partnership Implementation Grant, right? Which is the Woodlands Partnership of Northwest Massachusetts. And we got it. So in the fall, we can see it forward.
$25,000 to begin a project with. That's a significant amount of plants.
Yes. And I've just, in my career, I've been running these programs for 20 years, and for me, it was like, it's just a really big step for me in my life. And so I'm just so excited to bring this to our park here in Buckland. So we were awarded the grant, thanks to brilliant writing and Heather's support. And last fall, we put our first tree, and it's a little shrub, actually. It was a donation from the Bridge of Flowers, an azalea that we said, just for kind of symbolic, planted that one. And then we'll zoom forward. I'll talk fast, so I don't want to take too much time. But this year, the idea was to take half of the horseshoe game area and turn that into this woodland demonstration garden. It's called agroforestry, which is agriculture that integrates trees and shrubs and perennials as food. So think nuts, berries, as a part of our food source, rather than focusing on annuals. We can bring in annuals. It's what we teach about. So the first step was to remove the concrete. You can breeze through a few of these. We didn't anticipate it would be this much labor, because there are these large concrete forms underneath.
Credit to your crew and the highway crew.
The highway crew came through, and it was so wonderful to have them on site. And you can get the sense, because you look out there now and, we see trees and shrubs, yet there was so much that went into creating this park.
We've been waiting for this highway department for a while. It's full and they're good.
Why was there so much concrete there?
There were horseshoe
Horseshoes
blades.
underneath the actual fence.
Yes.
So I will interject and say that you remember, as a board, you've discussed removing those horseshoe pits, and we went back and forth, and we procrastinated for a year because we weren't sure if the league was going to come back and use them, and eventually the board voted to have all 8 pits removed. Well, when Kay and the highway crew got in there, they felt strongly that there was ample room to maintain and renovate 4 sets of the horseshoe pits
Nice.
and still be able to accomplish this. So I think it was a really good example of showing where compromise and sometimes where what I think is a great idea and what I bring to you for support doesn't always work itself out in the field. And I think it was a great compromise. So there are still four horseshoe pits down there that they're going to be renovating and bringing back into service for recreational purposes. There are not 8, but I think it's a great compromise. So,
Yeah, and we're planning a pick-off to the park party in
We'll get
August.
there.
We'll have a horseshoe game, because I've never played horses. So that was kind of a really big endeavor, which we weren't anticipating when we, but I have a wonderful crew, so thankful. And we can keep going forward. I also want to credit Jamie and Julie Godfrey. So the previous image is an image of their orchard, which they got a New England Grassroots Fund for the last handful of years to create this orchard up at the Salmon Falls Land Association. But they need to move that orchard. They're moving that orchard on. They have gifted our town so much. They gifted us so many trees and shrubs. And what we did was, go to the next image, was move a whole bunch of trees and shrubs over to the
Nice.
park.
I was lucky enough to have the kids in school, so they're good people.
Yeah, it's so the next image I think might show, this was the biggest tree we had to move, and that one we had to get help excavating that one up out of ground, but the crew, we were able to do everything by hand. That was the largest peach tree, so we'll go to the next image, probably the biggest one we have ever moved in our crew truck. So those are established now, and we can cruise through while we were working on, my team had enough energy to keep positioning all those concrete forms. It was between that and the planting. We started in March, April this year. Now those concrete forms we saved as a resource, half of them to use as the edges in the garden. So we really didn't want to create that much waste, and so my crew was willing enough to do that. So it looks really great. We were thinking about the mowers and keeping a nice edge. I won't bore you with too many details of that. We'll go to the next one. And we also will have a sign donated. So Jamie Godfrey built this sign, and they're donating that. I'm in the process right now of the permitting with the FERCOG for this and see if it'll be approved, and I hope it will. And the next one, that's just kind of waiting now at the park, and we'll go to the next one. My crew is actually out there still today painting. We've been painting the pavilion. It's almost done. It looks so good. And the roof that the highway department installed, and it's quite an upgrade. And then lastly, I've been bringing my students. So I have students around every month for weekends, and having a chance to teach them something out there during the weekend program. So the next few slides will show a bit of that, a couple more. And oftentimes during our programs, our regional people come from around the region. I'll bring people on field trips, and this was Sunderland, but I'm just so happy to be able to also bring them just right down the road to learn by doing. And the next slide shows my students were part of implementing and planting, and we actually have a lot to do this weekend when they return. And the next slide, I love that photo. Ben Barnhart is a photographer, and he came up with some professional photos for us that we can share when we get everything in the newspaper and all that, and that's an idea of the types of groups that we have. And lastly, in the future, it might look something like this. This is one of the gardens we tend just down by the falls. So the idea is that the architecture of the park is a woodlands architecture with food and berries and herbs and things, and it would be kind of this like low, mid, and high growing plants, and that's the pattern that we teach about. And then the next one just shows their next. This is what we are up to right now with the end of the grant cycle coming up. Working on the sign permitting and our graphic design. I just got an email with all of that, the labeling, kind of like you'll wander through and learn by reading small signs around the park. And we'll be installing those in July, and we have a little more planting to do this June and July. The painting says to be determined when it's finished, but they might be done tomorrow. Fingers crossed. We have a interest in really helping to represent more Indigenous voices, so to have a little bit more of information present around the indigenous crops in the area and also the First Nations that were a part of the Nipmuc and the Pecumtuck. But that's a project that is kind of still in shape, like something to continue to work on over the years. And then also over the years, aside from the educational work that I do, we have a nonprofit that hosts the space at the mill. And we're really interested in finding a grant through our nonprofit to monitor the health of the soil. And we've ordered these soil monitors that will just kind of, you don't even know that they're underground, but they can tell us about the health of the soil depending on how we're improving the ground there. So that's kind of exciting. And next steps, finish planting, have a cookout, get in the newspaper, do some more grant writing. And then next year and beyond, when we harvest, it'd be great to donate everything to the local soup kitchen or, whoever would need the harvest. And then over the years, we'll just commit to being a part of taking care of it. And lastly, I think that's the last slide. Is that the last slide? Yeah, so, this would be an idea of what would be on that sign, like welcome to maybe something like Cricket Park Woodland Garden or, something simple. We'll figure out the actual language and I'll send that to you all for that final.
And you'll bring that back to the board. You'll want final say over what that sign says.
Cricket Park's fine, but the original name of it is Cricket Field. That's the...
Cricket Field,
Yeah, it was where the high school played football. They walked from Arms Academy down. We played baseball there. So it's always been known as Cricket. I'm not changing the name.
Maybe Cricket Field.
Cricket Field that was the name of it.
And it's cricket because the people who came to work at Lamson were from Britain, and they played cricket, on the field, and it evolved into Cricket Field.
I finally learned that after months and years of this, finally, like within the last 2 months, I was like, oh, God, I've been wondering.
She's the one you want to go to, the local historian. She ran Mary Lyons, started Mary Lyons.
Yeah.
She is Mary Lyons.
Yeah.
And a great cricket player.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in trouble.
So that's the update. I just wanted you all to know what we've been doing. It looks very simple on the surface, and there's just been a lot going on behind the scenes. And thank you for letting me tell you, and then we'll share more updates about it.
Thank you for doing this. It really is. It's very nice.
With all of the work that's been done there, we've certainly had a lot of people that have, asked questions about what's going on, so it's nice to have an update. And you were mentioning briefly that there's going to be sort of a cookout and for the public, and some of the people that have contributed to the work down there. So we'll be back in touch with those dates as well. So
definitely the people like in the town office and the highway department and the crew and the folks who have volunteered, or just to be able to, the neighbors, they want to be the kids next door, and
Yeah. So that'll be later this summer.
Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a really, just so happy. It's been a lot of work, and it will be, but it's just a really exciting
It's
project.
a good time to do it in.
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is.
All right.
Okay. Shall we move on?
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Is it okay if I?
Yeah, oh, please. We know you have other things to do, sure.
I got actually a little more to do tonight. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to change for the meeting. That was great.
No, thank you again. Yeah, well, I know.
Hi, thanks for sharing those images.
Oh, yeah, no, it worked out perfect.
Yeah, very good, actually.
If only Clint was here to see the technology working. He gives me such a difficult time when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I just want it
Just
acknowledged that it
I-
worked tonight.
Yes, and if I was home, I could see this on Zoom. I know how to do it now.
Yes.
Gina showed me. Okay, now it's, well, it's probably a little later. Let's see, 5:54 instead of 5:45, but that's okay. We have Susan Mariski here, and with attorney Sue Shager. I was going to say, I wish it was Miss Shager all the time. I would have, I just said attorney and threw it off when I said attorney, Sue Shager. So basically, Sue's here to ask about a road discontinuance on Old Upper Street and process. And I think we have questions and things. We need to know a few things about it. And basically, the board feels that if something that should be pursued, the next step would be to ask the petitioners to provide the board with a layout discontinuation or continuance plan. Okay, now, I'll have Heather explain these, hopefully, she's the one that's doing the research.
Oh, you've got it, you've got it.
Okay, it shows the meets and the boundaries of the roads to be discontinued. We did more than things like that. The town will also need to meet with the property owners, which are including the proposed buyer, to determine whether they will sign a waiver of damages. And that's something else our attorneys have told us, so. And then if we get this receipt of the new plan and the waivers, the board would vote their intentions to discontinue the road, vote to forward the plan onto the planning board, and agree to a date to hold a town meeting, which is another step that we have to pursue.
But I think first,
Yep.
you should have a discussion about whether or not the proposal is something that the board endorses.
Exactly.
Or wants to pursue. And I know you don't have a full board tonight, but some direction, I'm sure they can tell you what they hope to do, but that would be if the board agrees that we should look at that,
Right.
the next steps are as you just described.
There are a lot of
yeah.
steps there, so. So my question is, first of all, is it a complete road now?
Let me give you,
Sure, please go ahead.
This is the only plan we have that.
They have that.
I have the
Oh,
plan.
you have this
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh, I made all these copies for nothing.
That's okay. I'll find a good use for them. Yeah.
My concern is there's no plan anywhere that shows the rest of it.
They'd have to-
Colin's house.
Right.
I spent.
Yep, and council looked for it too. I had our town council.
I went through the whole, all the plans.
So that would be the next step, is that the petitioner would have to contact a surveyor, probably the same person that did this plan, and they would create a layout of discontinuation, right? So it would be a new plan that shows the roadway that you would like to ask town meeting to discontinue. It would have the meets and bounds of that road. So this, although it's great to kind of give us a sense as to where it is, a new plan, and you and I had talked about this a little bit in the office, so this isn't new news necessarily, but a surveyor would come out and create what they call a layout of discontinuation. And that would be sort of the next step, that you would bring that back to the board, and provided they have met with and have had some conversations with the other. So more research that we did is back a couple of decades ago, Frank LaBelle and a couple of other gentlemen did a full survey of roads and had recommended to town meeting to discontinue. And they had purposefully skipped over this particular road, and I asked why. It's kind of a challenge for the town's highway department to maintain, because it's partially private and partially town. And they had said it was because of the other people that lived and connected their properties through this circle.
Very cold.
Yeah. So I know that one of the property owners no longer uses Old Upper, but one does. So anyways, I think that would be the next step, according to the town council, would be to meet with those individuals and see if they would sign a waiver of damages, because you're basically going to landlock at least one of those parcels. And if they ever wanted to go to the zoning board of appeals for something, they've lost their frontage, right? So
I've spent a lot of time talking with them.
yeah, so
I mean, I just became aware of this last night.
yeah.
And we had a meeting this morning, with a realtor, and I've been going all day with other clients. This requires more research. I got back from like at 4:30, I quickly tried to find, I represented the Scots, I've got folders full of plans, none of Colin's house.
Yeah, so,
And
I've spoken with Colin, or I haven't spoken with Colin, but I left a voicemail and he left me a voicemail back, and there's certainly, it sounds like some interest in pursuing this. We gotta do a few steps. It would also require that the proposed new owner would also have to sign a waiver of damages, because we're really landlocking that parcel at that point.
Who are we landlocking?
We're landlocking your property, we would be landlocking the Smiths, and we're not necessarily
You're doing
landlocking.
Coles because he has his
Because
own
Coles,
driveway
yeah.
now, yeah.
Yeah, so, but all three parcels, because they have addresses on
Yeah.
Old Upper, would have to sign this waiver.
The interesting thing is, Colin Scott, his driveway, his new driveway, that was part of the contingency plan when I purchased my house, he has his driveway coming from Upper Street, not Old Upper Street.
Right.
But it's his address that counts, and,
And it runs into what I think was
Yeah.
Old Upper Street.
yeah, yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
That's his address.
Yeah, and that's his address, yeah,
His
yeah.
address.
And I don't see that these individuals wouldn't sign the waiver,
No, yeah.
but I think that the conversation that has to be had is that they're signing not only for themselves as current property owners,
Right.
but they're signing, if they were to ever sell their property, they're basically waiving the rights of any future owners of their property as well. So I just, we would have them talk with our council and sort of make sure that they understand what the town is asking of them when we discontinue this
Very
road.
interesting road.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
originally, and it was Dr. Purrington who took me across the street and said, Old Upper Street went from, across from his mailbox in front of my house, where you can see the old road, and then down the other side to where Jenna and Josh
That
are.
makes sense, that old.
And then when the Griswolds in 1818 built the big house, it extended up
I'm
around.
going to have you just tell them, because they're the ones who would be making the decision. So I
Yes,
just want to
yes.
make sure, yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting
is.
street.
Joan, yeah.
I have some we have people at home that are not knowing what's going on here, so I'd like to know why you're making this request, and how does it benefit the town of Buckland? Because all our decisions
Good question.
are made that way.
Yes. So I purchased 8 Old Upper Street about 23 years ago, and have been very, very happy there. And the town has semi-maintained part of Old Upper Street, in the winter, punching a hole in with the big plow and maybe sanding and then going back down again.
Which part? I
The
drove
south
by-
side.
Yeah, I drove by there today, so
Oh,
just to
good.
see.
Yeah,
to
you've
see.
been in my house.
I went in your house, but I wanted to
Yeah.
see it, refresh my memory. So what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
The south side towards
South.
Colin Scott.
Okay.
So the town has done that, but of course I always needed to hire an independent plow person to go around the house where the oil, what would you call it, where they put the oil in on the north side. So that's always been plowed, but it's always been my responsibility. And when the driveway road became so bad, I asked the town if it would help, and they said, no, it's your responsibility. So I had it paved at my own expense. And now it's been 20 years and it needs an upgrade. But the reason is for the request for the discontinuance, or would you say abandonment, is because my husband died about 7 years ago, and the house is too big for me, and I really need to downsize. And I'm moving back home to Main Street in Shelburne Falls, where I grew up, and I will be very, very happy there, although I will miss my friends and neighbors on Old Upper Street. However, I have a buyer who loves the house. My first criteria for selling it was to find someone who would cherish the heritage, the memory of Mary Lyon, have the money to not only purchase it, but continue to restore and especially maintain the land, the grounds, and the house. This couple loves the house. The only thing that they would like to change is they would like to have full ownership of Old Upper Street and maintain it themselves. So, and they're private people. They don't want strangers driving up around all the time. And neither did I really, but, it was unusual not to see people walking or driving by.
So they want to keep, I'm going to call it the good side. You had a hard top that leads up to you. They want to keep that, but not the other part.
So they would like to have it private so that it's not a public right-of-way. They will maintain it, take care of it, plow it, sand it, and
Are they talking all of the whole horseshoe?
no.
The south side, they want to eliminate and make grass.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's the side that the town's been plowing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what about the folks that live at the bottom of that part there?
That's an issue. I mean, I've been, they're neighbors and friends and clients of mine too, so we're working on.
We want it to be all copacetic.
It would be nice if we could, we won't do anything that will be, everyone will be in agreement on.
Yeah.
My thought is if we had to, we could start the discontinuance at the northern pin of their property and have just that last little opening be the main public way. They've got to have frontage on the public way.
And so this is where that new survey plan comes into
Yes.
play.
Yeah, no matter what, we all know we need frontage, and
Yes.
and they can't surrender that and make it a private way, because it greatly jeopardizes their property by not being
And the
public.
sale of my house depends on the discontinuance of that road so that the new owners have control and maintenance of the road.
Right now, we plow just past Smith's. I think we're just
You
past
plow the
Smith's.
other side too.
And but we, yes, the other side,
Yeah, the private side, yeah.
right that
Yeah.
side, I'm
So
saying,
right now,
yeah.
they plow with that bottom house
They
up to there.
plow just past that
Yeah,
red
it's a
house, probably.
red
just
house,
where we have
147 feet.
it. Is- Yeah, okay.
And so basically, they go up and then they go backwards?
Yeah, they just
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
They don't go into their driveway or
So
anything.
now would be discontinuance that the new owners of your house would be
The
responsible.
new
for that.
owners would plow that portion, they would plow the whole thing up the hill and
And
down
we'd be
on the
responsible
north,
for the Smiths if,
on the north side.
okay.
But you know what?
Here.
You wouldn't have to worry about it because the new owners aren't gonna get to their house without plowing the whole thing. So the bottom line is it's a moot
Yeah.
point.
I'm just curious where you're coming from and trying to hear your.
I mean,
But I think it's important
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
sign the waiver realizing that once they buy it and they
Yes.
if the town agrees to discontinue, there's no coming back.
Oh, absolutely, they don't want the town to come back. I took the liberty of calling the head of the highway department. He was ecstatic. And he said this will save the town so much time and money. So he was very
they
supportive.
still may have to do the little part in front of the Smiths if that remains a
Yeah.
public way, just to retain frontage, and we'll call it 147 feet of Old Upper Street.
So then the road, the legal road frontage for this will be just Upper Street.
No, it'll still be it'll be a little portion of Old Upper Street.
I know, I'm talking about the up property.
That property.
Yes, it would be,
This
so
property would just be Upper Street.
Upper Street would be the
Yes.
road frontage, okay.
All right. So now we know that the first thing, what you've got to do is get, if I'm correct, right, Heather, the layout discontinuation plan.
That would be the
That's
next
a very
step, yes.
That'd be the very next step,
Yeah.
okay? And we can get that and showing what's going to be discontinued, what's not, and we can move forward from there.
Okay, so if we could summarize so I understand exactly what I need to do with Susan's
We'll
help.
get a surveyor to do a layout
Was it,
discontinuation.
could I have a copy of that?
Here,
Was it Rose that
I
did
don't
the
even know if
survey?
those are still,
If they're still active?
I think they are, I think they're, he may not be there, but I think they're
Yeah.
people. But, I've had Dan Warner do a lot of, I've had him do surveys, he could do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it was Rose. And
It was Rose,
But
okay.
Dan is in Coleraine, and his number is 77, no,
You just did my other property.
624-3700, I wish.
For anybody needing a surveyor.
But he's done a lot of Upper Street, I think he
Yeah.
did the Collins on, when there was a switch with fences.
With George, yeah. They did a driveway.
Yep, yeah,
Yeah, you did all that, I think.
yeah, I did.
Okay.
No, it was Kid French.
All right, so I think, are we all set now?
So
Yeah.
I will contact, and make sure that a layout of discontinuation, that's a thing, that's
Sure.
a term, okay? And then that comes back to the select board,
Yes.
Well, we'll bring it, yeah.
You'll bring it again, yeah.
okay? In the meantime, we will meet with Jenna and Josh Smith and
And Colin.
maybe Colin, yes. And it comes back to you. When is the petition for 200, with 200 signatures
So,
back?
so if the select board endorse this,
Yeah,
then you wouldn't need to do a petition article.
Yeah, I was wondering,
And that's what but we talked about that a little bit.
It would
that
still have to go to town
It
meeting.
still has to go to town meeting.
okay.
But again, though, where the petition article comes in is if the board didn't endorse it, or their town meeting date isn't compatible with your interests. So we know from what we've learned through our town council that once that plan is available and comes back to the select board, they would vote their intention, and then they would forward that plan to the planning board. The planning board has 45 days to make their report. And so their town meeting date would likely be at that 45-day, within that 45-day range. So they meet the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month, depending
As
upon
soon
how.
as you get that plan, I mean, you ought to call Heather and let her know, and she can get you on the agenda, right?
Yeah, okay. So, but I'm just, sort of looking at your calendar and that schedule. So if you were to do a petition article, it doesn't waive the planning board's 45 days. And ironically, I don't know, you know this as well as I do, Mass General Law doesn't usually get it as perfect, but a petition article, should she come in with the 200 signatures, if that's the route to go, the board has to call a special town meeting within 45 days. So either way, we're in that 45-day zone. Whether the board endorses and chooses to call their own special town meeting, or you petition and force a special town meeting, it's still 45 days.
What do you mean by endorsement?
Meaning that you would vote that it would be your intention to put this as a special town meeting warrant article.
That's fine.
So the best scenario is after the survey is done and it comes to the select board, if the select board endorses this plan, then it would go to the planning board,
Yes.
and they have they could do it in 1 day or 45 days.
Right.
Right.
Okay, and they meet on the second and fourth Tuesdays. And if the planning board approves it, does it come back to the select board?
No, it would go directly to the town
To
meeting.
the town meeting? Okay.
So in July, it looks like we're meeting on the 9th and 23rd, I think.
Well, and also, we have to meet with the property owners and the prospective buyers.
Oh, right, right.
And that could be done through the attorneys.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that the property owners are knowledgeable of what is happening and that they agree that they're,
The
support
buyers or the
for the buyer and then the other two.
Smith and Cullen too, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I could have our council draft that waiver and certainly be available for any conversations. But you would want those in hand.
But we don't have to meet with these people.
They may want to meet with you, for sure. And I guess however you want to work that process. I think it could go either way. You could invite them in for a select board meeting and have that done, as part of a meeting, or the attorneys can certainly work on that sort of behind the scenes.
But if they have to sign this waiver, where do they do that?
They would do that with their, I'm certain that they're gonna wanna contact their own representative too.
What if I never was representative?
I don't,
How much of a conflict of interest?
I mean, do these people want to spend money with contacting a lawyer?
No,
that's what I'm-
not if they agree to it, not
right,
if they don't.
but that's what I'm saying, is that the town's attorney would certainly be available to answer any questions that they have, and but I think we want to see what that plan looks like first.
Right, exactly.
And would it be an option to discontinue everything but the part that the Smiths, that's what,
Yeah, I
may
guess,
have to ask.
yeah.
and
And that would be okay, because I think the new owner, I think the new owner would be happy to pay for the plowing.
he's gonna have to do it anyway to get to his
Yeah,
own
yeah.
house, so, I mean,
I know he will.
they just don't wanna jeopardize the frontage.
Sure.
I don't blame them, so.
And you know the Smiths and Cullen anyway, so it's, I would talk to them.
And these people are familiar with snow, right? And how?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are.
Just make sure you're not moving in
No,
from
that's
Florida.
Ours are, the Smiths are,
That's a good question, because that's true. People coming in.
Coleman certainly is.
Colin certainly is.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's got a long
Okay.
driveway.
So-
So we'll be
thank you.
waiting to hear from you.
Hope to come back to you very soon.
Great.
Okay.
Just let Heather know, you know that. and
Yes,
she-
thank you. Heather has been wonderful.
She is.
I have no knowledge of anything about how this works, and Heather has been a
And I don't
godsend.
either, because you know what, my bet is that there's no one in Buckland, except the people that live on it, who've ever heard of Old Upper Street, or know where it is. So the controversy around it may be very slight.
Well, I think that the board just wants to make sure that they're protecting,
Right.
or that they're protecting the other,
Butters and.
other butters. I mean, that's,
Absolutely.
And we're also going to have the fire district and the fire, police and fire
Yeah.
weigh in on this.
yep. Well,
Once we get this
the
done.
fire district, they access, there's a hydrant, and they access that actually
The first
from.
time.
Yep. They,
From Collins.
they access from Collins, but they also, Herb explained to me today that they can access the property regardless of ownership. And the phrase he used is that he could take water from the bathtub with me in it, so.
Hey, same as
you
my
know,
pool.
I
I've got
mean,
a
you know,
ground
yeah,
pool. They can use it if the
exactly.
house is on fire, yep.
Herb has some good, and we'd also, verify with the police and other public safety. But I know Anthony has zero concerns about not having to maintain his parcel anymore.
He was ecstatic.
Yeah, well, it isn't that it takes so much time and so much money, it's just that it's a nuisance. The way that it's laid out, it's just a nuisance, so.
The good news is that if it's a private way, it'll be repaved. And much smoother for, if emergency vehicles have to go over, they won't like rip out their gas tanks or anything like it is now.
Gosh.
So we all set?
Yes,
You get going, you get your assignment.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very,
Sue.
very
Thank you,
much.
Sue, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I have everything, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep, bye-bye.
This is pretty much of a simple neighborhood thing, because, I've known Colin for a lot of years, and if he's just hearing his conversation on the phone, remember, Heather, he's not concerned at all, because there was a dispute a while back with him, so he made his own driveway. Okay, his driveway used to swing up above the top of that horseshoe, you know,
Oh, okay.
going out there. And he actually think he owns the land behind it all out there too. So, but he made his own driveway, so there'll be no
Okay.
problems.
Okay.
And I don't see anybody building on, or you know, that there's nothing more to build on. You know, it's,
Does anybody there own enough land that it would negate them being able to sell a lot with adequate frontage? Because that's something people might consider too.
it's the frontage, but I don't see Cullen Scott. He owns most of the land around it. I don't see him getting rid of it.
No, but he won't own it forever. None of us get out of here alive, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of what I was trying to say is that it isn't
Just-
simply the people that live there now, it's
Right.
into perpetuity. That road won't be
Afterwards.
undiscontinued.
Stop that gun stuff.
Yeah. I do think it would be interesting to see how the layout plan would look, not including the Smith's property. So we'll wait and see that and take our cues.
Where is Smith's on here?
Here's the first one. This is Mary Lane's down here, right? Just when you first come up, it's right about here.
Okay.
It's on this side of the road right here.
Okay, who is this?
That's the Mary Lyons. That's
Oh, that's what I meant, that's what I thought. I thought you said it was over here.
No, and that's where Smith's is, right around there when Stack.
Oh, and they don't have it on here, right?
Somewhere right in here, yeah. And then
Okay.
you go up, and then you took up to Collins, but there still is a way up there, but it's really, he made his own over here, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Just want to understand what
Yeah,
I
no,
write about it.
when we think about, we need to talk about it, we make sure we understand, so, okay. I think that's all that we have for meetings or anything. We got documents to sign, I think, and we have some permits and licenses. Okay, so if we jump to that for a second, we'll see that we have a Shelburne Grange 4th of July parade. We should have the permits in there. I think we signed the permit, and or we will sign the permit. We'll hold it for, the parade will start at noon, starting at 50 Conway Street, a very familiar place. And we'll be ending at the Buckland Shelburne Elementary School. So it comes up Conway across the Iron Bridge and down Main Street to that. And that's a tradition here also, by the way. It has happened many, many years. So, and then Cindy Fisher, well, we should do the first one first. I'm going to make a motion to approve the parade permit for the Shelburne Grange to host a July 4th parade at noon, starting at 50 Conway Street and ending at Buckland Shelburne Elementary School.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay. Second one is Cindy Fisher, who Riverwalk banners. She wants to place 10 banners on Conway Street lampposts that say Riverwalk. Now, is she an artist or something?
She is.
She is, as I recall. I'm trying to, yeah.
Do we have a picture of what she's going to put up?
She didn't provide one? No?
I didn't see one. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
She was just
I can certainly
vouch for it.
I can ask her for a picture of them.
Okay. And I'm sure that'll be good, but so we'll do that too. I'll make a motion to approve the street use permit for Cindy Fisher to place 10 banners on Conway Street lampposts that say Riverfest. Riverwalk, I'm sorry. Banners in the construction zone shall not be placed until that work is complete. And I want to add to that, and that we have a proposal of what the banners will look like, please. Okay? I'd like to add that with that.
Yes. I second that.
Okay? Seconded. Now, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And it's approved with that addition. Okay. Let's see. Put that down there. All right. Now we've got minutes. Lawrence, we have the
Are you
minutes.
going to do the contract and grant
Did
document?
we do what?
You missed this one. Do we have to?
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the very first one. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a contract for the Solid Waste Management District Hazardous Waste MOU FY '25. What says here that I will make a motion to approve the MOU with the Franklin County Solid Waste Management District for fiscal year 2025 and to allocate $1,200 from the town's recycling dividend grant programs funds to offset property owners' expenses at the Hazardous Waste Day event.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Doug, you mentioned, Heather, that was a number to raise or anything else, but that should be plenty, shouldn't it, right there?
And if it's not, I can come back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, yeah. So that's a little addition to the 1,200, but if need more, we, so, okay. Did you second that?
Yes.
Very good. But moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Okay. Now we're heading down to minutes and warrants. We have the minutes from June 11th and June 17th.
Oh, I second that. Believe it, it was a motion, right?
I guess so. Motion to approve it.
Okay, I second that
Yes.
motion.
It's been moved and seconded to accept them or approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And we also have the warrants here, vendor warrants, payroll warrants, 2427, and vendor warrant 2501. Motion to approve the account warrants and payroll warrants for June 18th, 2024, and motion to approve the accounts payable warrant for July 1st, 2024.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded, and any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Thank you.
I'm glad there's someone smart who puts those together, because I couldn't do that.
When I kept signing them, when she had all these, how many were there? So, items not reasonably anticipated by the chair, 45 minutes in advance of meeting, 48 hours, 45 minutes. Means I need to go home and relax.
Almost.
I don't have anything that's popped up that I know of. Any select board member concerns? No?
I have a question. I've been asked why the flag on the Bridge of Flowers was half-staff. I've been asked by a number of people. Does anybody know why?
I don't. The water district would be they own the bridge, they would be the people to ask.
It wasn't because the bridge was closing, was it?
I couldn't tell you.
That's not a legal reason to
Not
put
a
it.
legal reason.
Yeah, it has to.
I've had a number of people ask me, so
How long has it been at half-mast?
it's been a few days. Someone asked me when I was out this weekend, and my neighbor across the street asked me if I knew what was going on. I don't know. We don't have, why is our flag at half-staff?
I don't, that's Chadwick comes over and does them. He gets the notifications from the state.
Okay, I'm just curious. I mean, a number of people have been curious.
There's a website, and I could look it up and see if I can find it. This is a good one that if you know that, I'd be happy to have that information handy if I had known you were going to ask.
Oh, sorry about
It's okay. I mean, I just want to keep the meeting going, that's all.
No, sorry about that.
That's okay. I just want to be able to give you good information. Flags today are flying at full staff, so there would be no reason
Okay.
today to have it at half-mast.
Okay.
Okay, question, Pete. Now, town administrator's report?
I have a couple of quick items for you. One is the Recreation Committee has found 2 new lifeguards, and they're hoping that you would agree to appoint them. It is Avianda Rowland Roth and Avery Heathwaite. I don't have the letters of hire prepared because I just found out, but they've been vetted by our rec department, and I would recommend that we get them before somebody else does.
Okay.
I agree 100%.
Okay. So motion to approve, to authorize me to.
Okay, yes, we authorize the town administrator to sign up those
Sign them up.
Cards.
Okay,
All
great.
right, I second that.
Okay.
Okay. We've done very well, getting great staff, and having additional lifeguards to be able to sort of keep the last thing we want is to have a closure, because we can't have
Right.
have a lifeguard, and we have to have 2 on staff at all time. So, quick update on the police station. I did hear from our buyers. They are working with their council, reviewing the purchase and sale agreement, and hope to have some news back to me about a closing date soon. So that's on track, and they just wanted to make sure that you all knew that they were still working on it. Received in the mail today, actually this afternoon, the checks in the amount of $145,000 that we were anticipating in our settlement for the sewer culvert conflict on South Street about a year and a half ago. There was some engineering that was not as thorough as it should have been, and as a result of that lack of information on the plans, the town had to make a snap decision, and it was a very expensive snap decision in order to keep that project moving and to keep the sewer line in place for residents on South. So we did work with our town council. As you know, you were part of some of those executive session meetings, and the resolution is truly the check was in the mail. So this replenishes all of the money that we were out as a result of that.
You and Clint did a lot of work in that. So
Well done,
I appreciate it.
I talked to the town accountant today, because there's been a deficit in this line item for some time, and he keeps saying, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? I said, please have faith. Please have faith.
Now you can take
And I brought the checks down to him today, and he says, towns talk a lot about holding designers accountable or contractors accountable, and he says, and it doesn't always work out that way. Just because the town is in the right doesn't always mean that they get the resolution. And so I'm very proud of this, and Clint really was a fantastic ally in this.
Yeah, he did.
So that's great news. This money will go to our free cash. It will be available for appropriation in your next budget cycle. It would be something that we would want to talk about replacing with the wastewater retained earnings, because that was the budget that we spent down during this project. So it would be appropriate that it goes back to the wastewater treatment facility for much needed improvements down there. So that's great news. I'm very happy to have that back.
What's the process for that, to do that?
To do what?
To move that money into that account?
So when we go to town meeting,
Right.
and we appropriate, we appropriate capital items, and the source of that appropriation is free cash. This money would be available in that free cash number. So we're going to get a lump sum of free cash, and we're going to know that some of that, 145,000 of that number, should belong back to wastewater. That's up to the select board and to the finance committee, if that's what they want to do with it. That's, or ultimately town meeting. It just,
Right.
something to be conscious of, that that's who we took it from.
Would we do that at a special meeting, or would we wait for the end?
We wouldn't have our free cash probably back in time for the special.
Okay,
If we do, we could certainly
okay.
Yeah.
do that. For that.
Well, thank you.
I can't remember if at your last meeting I said that the Buckland sand and salt shed is out for bid. So that's other big news. That's something that we tried to get off our plate, so that the new salt and sand shed could be built this season at 2 Sears Street. and the highway crew would not have to operate their sand and salt operations out of 50 Conway. Not only is that a safety and liability issue, but it does free up that parcel for the boards. Now that you're practiced
Yes.
on your
Another building
on
to
your
get rid of,
building,
yes.
on your building disposition skills, you are primed and ready to tackle another building, provided this all works.
Gee.
Anyways,
Someone will want to buy that.
Yeah.
It's a
Sure,
great
of course they do.
location.
yeah, so I think that's the only update. I did speak today with Mass DOT and the contractors on Conway, still trying to find resolution to the traffic and pedestrian conundrum. I know that Police Chief Greg Bardwell and Fire Chief Herb Guyette are both appropriately maintaining that a full closure is in the best interest of if we can't accommodate mixed use safely, then we shouldn't be accommodating that. However, we have been receiving an awful lot of questions and concerns from the business owners below there, because although the locals know the walking route around to get down Elm Street, to go up Asheville, Franklin, and
Well, they could cut right up through Depot and go right across the,
we can't actually do that because that is private property.
Yeah,
So,
private property. Sorry, take that back.
although some locals may know that as a route, it is not something that we can sanction and endorse. So it's really our visitors and guests that are struggling to find their way and navigate there. So far during the day, while there's a detail officer or two detail officers, they have been escorting pedestrians
Right.
down along through that. But
Cool.
it is very cool.
It's a little nerve-wracking after
It is a
5
little,
o'clock,
yeah,
believe me.
it is.
It is.
So we continue to look for a better way of handling that. Mass DOT is supportive of whatever the town can come up with. The width of the road at its narrowest point is, or the width of the new travel lane at its narrowest point is 14 feet. You need the 11 feet for vehicle safety, a Jersey barrier, and that leaves less than
Half a foot, yeah.
6 or 7 inches for a pedestrian. So it's really a pinch point, I guess, is the best way to put it. But I want businesses to know that we are, I spent most of my morning trying to figure this out with Mass DOT. I don't know that we're going to come up with a good resolution. I do know that Balthazar is, they asked me not to say it because they don't want me to jinx it, but they are a little ahead of schedule. There's an awful lot of rebar that has gone down, and they are moving right along, and if the weather continues to cooperate, they'll continue to gain speed. They will be off-site all next week for the holiday week, so it'll be nerve-wracking.
When is the tentative end to this?
Labor Day.
Okay. I'm sure the mill people aren't.
And I don't blame them. I mean,
Getting to the mill though, there's a lot of cars because I looked at, they're going around that loop.
Yeah.
Up Ashfield or Franklin.
And it's pretty quick in a vehicle,
It really is,
right?
but not
If you're somebody who is not from here, so we're looking at different signs that we can put. We got the message board that we're going to try to put some messaging up to help people that are not as familiar with the neighborhood find their way up and around. We all want steps on our Fitbits and Apple Watches, right? And this is a great way to get it through.
It's not a bad little walk up.
It isn't a bad walk if you know where you're going.
Exactly.
And I think that
That scares me. I was going by the other day just watching, and it's not just the vehicles, it's also, you have people walking two abreast sometimes, and they're going to stay two abreast, and that's...
And either, and sometimes the pedestrian is on their phone trying to and it isn't even that they're being on their phone inappropriate, they're using their phone
Correct.
to
They're not
navigate.
doing anything wrong, just
They're just, you know, they're using their map.
dangerous
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, so it's a tricky situation, and if anybody has any better suggestions, please don't hesitate to reach out, because I don't know what to do, so, and neither does Mass DOT, so. Anyways, I think that's my update, unless there's questions from anybody? No?
Thank you.
Okay.
Public comment. Hearing none, I guess we'll move on to volunteer recognition. You have anyone?
Well, who's putting together that 4th of July parade? Certainly there's
Well,
some
that would be
volunteers
certainly
there.
Steve Fink and many of the people,
Yeah.
Bill Terry and Cindy putting the signs up there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I know they're getting paid, but the kids are doing a great job of putting the crosswalks out there and doing the other things, and it's a good little group we have working for
Yeah,
us. So
yeah.
never mind the ones working at the Buckland Rec. I mean, they're just,
I know. I don't know how we are so fortunate to have so many great employees, but everyone brings brings their A game every day. We're very lucky to have them.
it's a great town.
Yeah,
Why,
absolutely.
That's the real reason. And I already said, okay, thank you. Now, we have announcements and upcoming meetings, and we know we have the July meetings, and I said it, I
So,
forgot.
Clint had asked,
Sure.
he's not here, but he did want to bring up that whether there was any interest from the other members to have one meeting in July and one meeting in August, instead of 2 meetings in each month. I don't know if that's something that others are interested in. I don't know what your travel schedules look like, and we don't have to make any decisions in this moment, but he asked that I mention this to you so that you could take a look at your calendars.
I'm not going anywhere until September, so I guess if these people are going to be bringing back,
But we can certainly call a special.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we did that, if we did that, we'd just have to look and see maybe the middle of each month, and, so,
But I think for Falls Cables, we may want to stick to either the 2nd or the 4th.
oh, okay, for Falls Cable,
public-
good idea,
Because
okay.
that way they're not,
Thank you,
yeah.
appreciate that.
yeah, that's fine by me if we,
Yeah.
you know, if there's something pressing which has happened before.
And maybe if we looked at that 4th Tuesday in July, that would give
It's the 23rd.
The Sioux an opportunity to get the plan in place. They may not be ready by the 9th.
Right. No.
When is their proposed closing?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Okay, well, I guess if it's, you know, like we've,
So you're talking July 23rd, maybe
Yeah.
August 27th, which are both the Thursdays.
And if there's a need to have a meeting earlier, you can certainly have the meeting on the 9th if but we'll look at that.
yeah, I
If
might not.
they get back to you by then, we have it, we can, okay.
Yeah.
I can live with that, I think that's
I
good.
might miss the first meeting in September. We're traveling, so.
I will definitely be missing meetings in September. I will be out of the country.
So will I.
Where are you going?
I'm going to be in Norway.
Well, don't forget, Saturday the 14th of September is my birthday, so.
I will make sure I'm back for that.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, I will have that time off. I know, I'll have that time off
Good for you, good
so,
for you,
Yeah.
good for you. So I think we can officially end this meeting.
Good job chairing tonight.
Well, thank you. It's
job.
easy with the right people. It's a good group.
You gonna make a motion?
Oh, I moved, we adjourned. Go ahead.
Are you gonna make the motion?
I just moved.
Oh, I thought you just moved, okay, then I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good job, Larry.
Now it's official.
Good job.